So this is the first part of installing this CP16R boards. I took my own prototype board out of the camera. So this is my own board, put it to the side, and I didn't remove the motor completely, I put it on the side actually. Because one of this was jammed, I think this grounding bolt, but anyway. So when installing the mainboard, it's a tiny bit tricky because it has this bolt and I didn't have possibility to make this any other way. So first the bolt is put through that hole which is closer to the edge, only that hole. You don't need the other one at all. So first the bolt goes through that, then you will put the special washer, which I have thin in the metallite, that the spacer actually, the thicker one, thicker metal spacer, you will put that first and then the normal washer, one piece of those washers. And then this crossbeam which has the bearing for the main flywheel and gear, and so you put those on and tighten this a little but not all the way, so that it holds but you can align it when needed. So after that you will ensure that the shutter parking sensor is not in that position, so it's somewhere here out of the way. So shutter parking sensor cannot be there. This position needs to be clear because the sensor goes there and you can install the mainboard if the parking shutter plate is there. So now we will install this whole assembly here. It's tiny bit tricky, but it's so that I install this side first and then the bearing, and then we have the nuts here. This support structure for the motor has, let's see, yeah, there's the slot where the edge of the circuit board goes, and the original circuit board is 1.4 millimeter thick, and these boards are 1.6 millimeter thick. So it's tiny bit, it's very tight fit, and I actually, you can see I filed this board and I filed my own board, and all the boards in the batch are filed a little so that this corner is not straight cut, it's a tiny bit wedge shaped, just a tiny bit so that it fits to the slot. But if you have possibility, you can widen the slot here just a tiny bit so that the fitting is not super tight, because you have to push this in place and it jams there, and when if you need to take out the circuit board, you may actually need to lever this a little to get it out of the slot. That's safer actually than trying to pull it. It's lots of force, and then might be actually bend the circuit board and damage it. So this area here doesn't have connections. This area here doesn't have connections nearby. So this is the nearest area where there's any copper tracks which can be damaged. So you can carefully use some lever force on this area, and if you need to file this corner more, you can do that if you don't damage these in the process. So this corner area, this area doesn't have any internal structures which can get damaged. It's intentional, so I knew that this might need to be trimmed when installing this. I don't know if all cameras have this slot the same white, but at least my 2 cameras have the same white. So you can see the location pins here. So we can carefully push it in place. And then we have the screw hole here. This hole, let's see if we can. It's there and we can focus. Yeah, we can see it now. Just moving this a bit. So we have the hole there. And I'm sorry if I'm scratching your boards a little bit, but I'm testing this all with my own camera. So we have that screw hole, which needs to be aligned, and this slot, which needs to be aligned. So I'm actually putting this to the slot, then checking the hole, and if the hole is for example, if the board is aligned too much up, then I'm pulling it down from here or here. Never pull from the IO model. I'm so used to this that I have these habits which can be sometimes a bit risky because I'm so used to it that I'm unintentionally very careful. So I'm not pulling from the module, I'm pulling from the circuit board underneath here. Never pull from this. If you need to pull from this area, pull here from the actual circuit board, not from the module. You don't want to damage the module. So you can see it's about centered. And now, do we have everything? Now you can rotate the axle. If you hear any noise at all, so that kind of, if you hear kind of scratching noises, then you have the board in the wrong position, something is wrong. And if you don't have this screw in place, then the center of the board might be pushing too much downward, and some of the pins of the through the hole connections on the other side may actually touch this flywheel and cause the noise. And if the board is in the wrong alignment, then it might touch the axle which is driven by this gear. So the other axle might touch the edge of the board and cause the noise. So, very silent listen. I don't hear anything. It should be nice. Then if it is nice, then lock this screw. And did I drop it somewhere? I did drop it. It's there. So yeah, I will turn the camera upside down and get the screw from there. Let's see. Where is it? Can't see anything. Can't find anything. Where is it? I do have spare screws, but they are in the box with million other screws, so I don't want to lose it. Well, anyway, so you will lock this screw. Then this screw goes into place. And after that, you will check again what turning is. If you hear any noise at all, extra noise, then something is wrong. If you can't hear any extra noise, then try to tighten this. And it may be tricky because it rotates uncontrollably. It's pretty good. And about this bolt, this needs to be tightened. It's pretty difficult to tighten, but it needs to be, and you need to lock it when you have done with the installation and everything is fine and tested, so you will lock it so that it doesn't accidentally disengage during use. But I think I can use this without the screw, but I will just make next part and find the screw in the meantime. So the next part is putting the main cable bonder. So when preparing for installation, you will need to remove this side plate. Here's the side plate. It may have some controls depending on what extra features your camera original came with. You need to take this cover out and replace it with the panel I made. The panel which looks like this and which has the main cable bundle coming from the other side. And this, I think these screw holes had some 1/4 millimeter difference, so they are not perfectly fitting, but I'm not sure because it may vary from camera to camera, I don't know. So you can install most of the screws, and if you need to fine tune it a little bit, then you will need to do that. So next part will be putting the cable bonder through this hole, and you can see here. So if you can see, hopefully I won't scratch this board too much because this is not my own board. This is actually one of your boards. I don't know who gets this, but I will test every single one of these boards because they have so much stuff which can go wrong. So I'm not confident that they will be reliable unless I'm testing them with the actual camera. So here the cable bundle goes through this hole, and this back panel connector goes underneath it, which is a bit tricky, but I will test. It should be possible to install. I will test it. So next part, this screw is installed and tightened, and you will rotate this, and this is tightened, and you will rotate this, and you can't hear any extra noise. So this is the first part done. Then the next part.